All right, good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Edgar Donatisi. I'm the principal over at Hubbard Heights Elementary over at the south side of Fort Worth. And it's my honor today to present to you how my campus is doing and some of the things that we've been implementing on our campus and where we look to go as we move forward in this next semester. So as we move forward in today's, in my presentation today, we're going to go over the following points. Where we'll look at how data looks as far as math, reading interim information, as well as how we look like as in attendance, discipline, and how we're spending money with our budget. Starting us off, I kept the quote that was provided in our template here where it's emphasizing find joy in everything you do, every job, relation, home. It's my responsibility to love it or change it. And what I like about the pictures that I've connected to this slide is that we're getting some positive feedback from students that have, when we bringing back sports as well as cheer for families and students, along with downstairs connecting with stakeholders and sponsors to provide support. Even for this situation was a fun day, just a lawyer spending X amount of money to sponsor a bounce house fun day for students as we closed off the semester. Just having community people coming in and to be interested and wanting to do good for our kids, I think that's something healthy. Now that bottom corner with me and those two girls is something special. Before as I move forward, this was the 4th grade champions for Battle of the Books. And what makes this a very unique picture and what I'm about to share today is that looking at the other groups that they were in competition with, they were lagging behind with their team members. So they were lacking the resources and support that the rest of the other teams had. And yet, just watching them and observing how they handled that gave me a sense of pride because I could see how they used competition and grit to press through and then come out as winners at the end. And I just love that. Who doesn't love underdog stories and people coming from behind with less than what they have and then coming out as victorious as these two have. And I hope that that's going to be a common theme as we go through this presentation. Okay, so some of the things that we've been doing with DDI in the beginning of the school year, prior to getting formal training as leaders, already during the summer we had decided as a leadership team on the campus to start doing instructional planning calendars and really focusing on that so that we had so that we could keep a bird's eye view about what's happening in the unit, what to prepare for, factoring specific days, etc. And introducing that to the campus as a main form of what they would call a lesson plan. And we moved forward after getting some training on DDI to focus on lesson alignment. And so we visited campuses, a campus that was utilizing that well, and we adopted some of their system and forms and formats so we could use that with our staff. Moving forward, again, we visited another campus to see what they were doing with planning feedback. So we adopted a system and we tailored it and customized it to our own so that as we were reviewing teachers' plans, we could give uniform feedback that was connected to things that we were looking for. So it was, we stayed away from emotion, but we kept it really close to specific items that we were looking for in plans. Moving forward, we also embraced district and specialist support as stated from the last state of the school. We've welcomed pre-K and SPED, and we've been working well with them for some creative solutions and strategies in handling personnel situations as well as the campus needs for our students. We math and reading, working very strong with those leaders as well as bringing the Lexia and Dreambox people to do not only faculty meetings but to be there as a PLC. Even yesterday we had PLCs where teachers had more in-depth training with both of those programs so that we can really tighten in on some of our data action plans. And then, of course, we have B-Forward, which we're continuing to learn and sharpen that as a tool in our delivery. Some teachers more familiar than others, nevertheless, keeping that as a valuable tool moving forward. And then also the after-school tutoring, something that started early on through the after-school program and then expanded through different teachers volunteering and wanting to be part of that. So although there's a budget, this might a point for later on regarding the HIT funds, we already have had teachers doing after-school tutoring, and we're just going to expand it because of some input and more teachers that want to be involved in that. Moving on to map growth. On this slide, I wanted to be tactful as far as using that particular green, so if you can't see it, apologies, but I wanted to emphasize that there are some wins that we have on our campus. And in reading, we can see that the Spanish kindergarten, we have double-digit gains on there, as well as our first grade English. And we have a strong third grade team that also had some improvements there. All that red does tell us a story in the all column, telling us that we do need to do some work for our English regular program, our English learners, and moving over to our immersion bilingual population. We can also see that we do still have some wins in kinder as well as our third grade, but that our special ed did take a hit, which I wanted to mention a little later on regarding personnel, because due to a personnel situation and being creative with how we schedule and assign people, we did have some impact on that particular subcomp. But we do have a solution now that's in play. So reviewing all of that, looking at those opportunities for growth, again, fifth grade English, well, let me start off with first and second grade Spanish. So first grade Spanish, we do have a new teacher that we brought up from a lower grade level, so getting familiar with the curriculum as well as adjusting to that new grade level is something that we wanted to give her time. So what we've done as far as a continuing action plan is on-campus support, and then also giving feedback from district as we do our campus walks. The same thing goes with, our second grade dual language is a little bit of a different situation. We have a triad in that group. And so at this point, after looking at data, we're wanting to get both our reading and our math teachers to work a lot more tighter with that third triad teacher who's doing science, social studies, and interventions, so we can be very specific in how we're going to target our action plans moving forward. As far as fifth grade, our RP program for English testers, I want to be very tactful. It showed some concerning regression on that last chart over here with a negative 18, but we did get some positive feedback from our campus walks that they are doing well as far as utilizing the curriculum and delivering it with fidelity, differentiating their instruction. And so the point where we're at right now as far as moving forward is we're going to continue to use district supported feedback and really giving them that much more attention, because those numbers are concerning. They are implementing it with fidelity to the best that we can observe on our side. So there might be a miss on utilizing the data strategically. And so just fine tuning that and honing in is where we are as far as action for them. Moving on to math, you see a little bit more green on this side. And that it also shows that there's stronger, we did a little bit better as far as our campus was for mathematics. Kindergarten did well again, so another good thing for kindergarten with Spanish with plus 19, as well as small gains in Spanish for first and third grade. On the immersion bilingual population, this just shares me with all those green positives, is that we are doing something well with math, dual language, math bilingual, and we just need to continue that to work as a team in that area. Now I'll pause a little bit to share what our personnel situation was regarding our special ed situation. And starting off the school year, we were lacking a full-time RISE teacher. It took some time before we got a RISE teacher assistant. Maybe midway in the first semester, we were able to get a transfer for that. We finally got our full-time RISE teacher around November, just before the Thanksgiving break. And also during the first semester, one of our teacher assistants for inclusion went out for medical. And so she's still out, and that's still kind of hurting us as far as support. Nevertheless, we finally hired an ECSE teacher, which we've been without for pretty much the whole first semester. And now with having that new person on campus, we were able to be a lot more strategic on who we put where and making sure that the students that need those services and support receive them, so that it doesn't affect that particular subgroup. So it was an issue for first semester, but going into second, I see that we're going in the right direction, and we can make do until we find out what's going on with the teacher assistant that's out. As far as growth opportunities, starting with kindergarten English, we noticed that there was one unit that was particularly struggling. Just maintaining, getting student attention and giving them guidance in their learning experience. And what we have done and started, and we're going to continue to do, is still intensive campus support and then bringing in district help for that particular kindergarten unit. I'll go back here and you can see that there's a -10 in English, and then back over here we had a, kindergarten reading went well, but for the math, because that's a concerning number. Going to 5th grade English, again, we have a team that has been working very closely with the supports that were given. I'm just going to repeat what I had shared regarding reading, is to really take the data, fine tune it, and making sure that all those factors are utilized when they make their teacher data action plans. Moving on to science, what we did is we looked at our previous results and where we were. Now, science is an area that needs a lot more of our attention as a campus. However, as far as something to celebrate or acknowledge, there was a little bit of a move into the meat section, even though we have no one in masters, but just to see that there's a slight movement going in that direction to continue what we're doing in practice, and then also working together as a science PLC coming together and working with district to make sure that we hit some strategic points at different grade levels so that we're not playing catch up in 5th grade, which is going to take a lot of work and a lot of attention, but that's where we are with that. As far as interim data, looking as a whole, we can see that we are somewhat slightly lagging from where the district is as a whole, but we do have gains if you look on the all side on this side. Moving over to our sub-pops, you can see over here, we have, although it's not a big difference on the special ed, it is an area that we do want to give more attention because we know that there's potential there if they have the right resources and support. Going to our 3rd grade data, you can see that we have a pretty solid 3rd grade team that is performing at par with the district as far as the results. And the same thing is shown in their sub-pops with our economically disadvantaged, as well as our immersion bilingual. And there's that slight fall in SPED because we had to pull some support during some times in the first semester as we figured out some personnel strategies. Moving on to 4th grade, I do want to share about this particular team. We have a full set of teachers now. It was very difficult in the first semester because we had one teacher out that was out on maternity, and I had to make a decision to move one of those teachers back to 5th grade because of another situation regarding a long-term sub. Bottom line, we have a solid team now. We are working closely with them to make sure that they get the right supports that they need, and that we do what we can from now until STAR to make sure that these kids are as prepared as they can be for that test. For our 5th grade, even though we had some concerns with with map data, you can see over here that we are still making progress, and that the 5th grade team is working, and you can see that from the previous years that the progress is evident. So that's good to see. As far as the campus action plan that we're having teachers fill out, there's a uniform form that we're having them plan with, and the main components of this is to show what their lowest, for low growth and low achievement, identify those students, and making sure that they include the content that's being struggled with, how our online intervention systems going to be put to use, how are they going to be assessed in mastery, and what time block is that going to be is going to be utilized. Moving on to attendance. Starting with enrollment, last year it was logged and we were at 515, and currently right now we're at 523. Today we're at 525. I also wanted to point out though, as far as these numbers, because I think that we can stay steady and strong with our numbers. I think there's a good pattern of staying well above 500. Is that when you're looking from cohort to cohort, there's been addition. You see on this side of the box that students are coming in, parents are enrolling their kids, and we have a positive trend, which is really good for our campus to stay healthy and serving the community that is part of our that's assigned to this campus. Side comment is I've been speaking with pre-K about ambitions to expand our pre-K program, because this year we have 1 dual language and 2 RPs, and we've sent away about I'm gonna say about 6 to 8 kids for dual language, and there's been about maybe 2 to 4 kids that have denied dual language just so they can get into an RP section at our campus. The potential's there. I think it's just about giving the community awareness, support, and awareness and support that we can likely get 4 units moving forward. So that's a campus ambition of mine that I know that we can do it. And as far as raising numbers, our current 4th grade is a triad. Next year, after they move on to middle school, we would have minimum 4 all across the board, which will bring our numbers high. Goal in 2 years would be to get to 550 and stay there strong. So that's a campus goal. Moving quickly into attendance, we're right on par with what the district's doing, with the exception of 4th grade and 5th grade, -1 as far as performance. And then chronic absenteeism, we like numbers going in the negative direction, and so we are seeing improvement as far as students being chronic and that not happening as much this year. Going into discipline and disproportionality, our campus is predominantly Hispanic, and that's the primary group that we serve at our community. But I did want to make special mention about the 10 out-of-school suspensions that we have as of today. And that we noticed a concerning problem that was a little heartbreaking when it came across my desk last year and then again this semester, last semester and this semester. As we can see over there, there was only 1 suspension last year, and that was a mandatory. I think it was had to do with a fight. This year, the vapes have made it into our elementary building, and I wanted to be transparent about that because that's a big concern about. That's a big concern about where we want to go, and something that we realize and recognize is that aside from counseling that we have to offer from our campus, that outside support from other volunteers that want to be part of it could be beneficial. Programs like My Brother's Keeper that I can recall from the high school had some positive impact for some of the boys that were part of that group, and so we're starting something that's called Meals with Mentors. We have some permission slips that have been sent out already, and we've been in close communication with wanting volunteers with seminary students that helped us out with 5th grade promotion ceremony last year, along with an Air Force volunteer that's going to get a few different comrades, which I'm excited about, and I'm looking for optimistic and positive influence, especially for our 5th graders. As far as money, we're spending money. We're on the right track on that, for the sake of time, excuse me. Some of the things that we've been spending our money on: Title I, practical things for personnel. We have our teacher assistant who's pushing into 4th and 5th grade to support there, along with our tutors. We started off the year with 1 part-time tutor servicing 1st through 3rd, with a plan to get 2. 3 interviews fell through, candidates fell through, but now we have we have our 2nd part-time tutor, so that's covering, and they're doing a lot better to deal with fundamentals that are necessary for that age group. As far as instructional supplies, we spent money on a resource called Fast Focus to also complement science, and this is something that we looked into together as a campus, and we're putting to work right now to help supplement our preparation for STAR. And also we just went to the Rock and Review conference this week with Lead Forward, so we have teachers as well as leaders familiar with how to use this 10-day preparation program for STAR so we can best prepare our students. So moving forward and wrapping this all up, what are we doing moving forward? That conference, our teachers are going to have a 10-day plan for STAR prep. I showed you the action plan that teachers are submitting. Our after school and possibly Saturday school is going to expand through high impact tutoring. We're going to launch this mentorship program ideally next week, Friday, as I collect permission forms. And then in our instructional planning calendar, we're going to stretch it out and continue to build on know and show charts, which we've just been trained on. Now, closing it all off, again, the quote that was prepared on this slide: there are those who give with joy, and that joy is their reward. Another great book that I've once read says that it's more blessed to give than to receive. And I think that as educators, there's something that's very powerful, an intrinsic reward for us when we help not only our students but also our teachers. When the light bulb goes on and you let them accomplish something that they otherwise felt that they couldn't. I mean, it's a gift that, I was going to say the gift that keeps on giving, but it's something that you just can't take away from someone who just learned something new. So with that attitude, moving forward, we're going to continue to have a great year at Hubbard Heights. As you can see, there's a lot of positive activity. We have family involvement, and we just have a great, strong staff that I know has the attitude to do what it takes to bring our kids to that next level.